ReachTV puts content in front of millions daily. How important is it to make sure that Black culture is not just seen, but owned in those moments?
I think it's important because that's what drives culture. So we don't look at it as, if you strip away everything, we just look at what drives culture, and Black people are the center of that.
So we have a tremendous amount of influence, and generally the things that we latch on to trend-wise, they ripple and they impact not just our community, not just other people of color, but wider mainstream. So when you talk about our buying power, when you talk about our value system, and you talk about our influence, we have the power to really drive, these corporations to do better.
What's up, everybody? Ashlee B, host of Rooting for Everybody Black, and we are live in Detroit, Michigan at the 4th annual BOMESI Summit, where Black media's future is rooted, nurtured, and grown. It's also where legacy meets innovation. So stay tuned to see who I speak with. What are you here for? You're here for a special reason, right?
Oh my God, yes. I'm actually really excited. This is my third conference that I've attended, but for this one is real special because I'm actually part of the Cohort 4. So now I am really part of the BOMESI family, where it's definitely a game changer for us publishers. It's definitely enlightening and encouraging to have this type of community that pours into people like me. So to have this opportunity and be here to continue to network and celebrate with like-minded individuals and potential partners and collaborators is very exciting.
I love this thing. So I was in their first cohort, and I've learned so much. I've met so many great people, and it's just great to be out here with other Black publishers focused on making the internet space more healthy for all of us, more inclusive for all of us, and just like a fun place to be.
The Shade Room is built to serve the need from the audience. So we oftentimes are answering DMs and responding and doing the investigative journalism attached to those DMs. So
shout out Justin Carter.
So we are literally listening to the audience when we are posting. Black voices are way more powerful than we can believe. Oftentimes we think about our voice as being an echo chamber, and it's not, because we speak from our legacy and our ancestry, and that is it is heard on subconscious levels.
I think that editors and reporters should know at this moment in time that speaking authentically to Black and brown communities is important to sustaining their businesses.
Why do you think it matters that Black stories are coming from Black-owned media?
Well, I would definitely say for far too long, we haven't been the authors of our own narratives. And that is the reason why Black media is very important, especially today with the political landscape of this country.
Absolutely.
Well, this is something that they talked a lot about. Actually, today, earlier in the workshops, was about the authenticity and the cultural relevance. And I think we can only tell our stories. I'm sorry, they could use AI, but we're going to be able to tell, no, that you're not part of it. That's not it. But one thing that they did say, and I'm going to talk to y'all right here, something that they said, and I'm going to put it in my terms, is basically don't just invite everybody to the cookout. That was a big part. I think they said, we're giving keys.
We need to be careful who we give the keys to, because once we give the keys away, they have it. What she meant is Black culture, as we all know, is gold. It's gold, right? And so whether DEI politically is going away or not, what CEOs and industry leaders and everyone who's following the money knows is that Black culture, Black consumers are integral to sustaining business success.
And I said, yes, absolutely, we can't do it. So that was just one of the many things that I learned, or that I agreed with and took from today.
What would you say the role that Black-owned production companies like yourself play in reshaping Hollywood?
It's once again our stories, our unique access. There's so many parts of your life can be beneficial to this industry. For example, if you are the mentor at a school or at a community center, well, some point somebody might come to you with an idea, or you might develop an idea that is community center based, or like you saw what was the hit? Recreation and all these other city related. Well, if you're involved in your city, then you might have that access. I have access to prisons. I have access to law enforcement. I have access to judges. So I'm able to do programming within that orbit because I have the access, because that's something that is part of who I am already.
Working at a big legacy media brand like Forbes, how do you make sure Black stories get told with real depth and power and not just surface level?
Yeah, well, you know, I've always said the most important thing, I think, in newsrooms around diversity, equity, and inclusion, or inclusive voices, is making sure that you have talent that is diverse. So that's the number one thing, right? Because you may or may not agree with what a reporter's writing, but if they're authentically from that community, then
they know.
Then they're being authentic. And so so that's the number one thing that I work on, making sure that our newsroom has more Black, brown, API, just otherwise diverse voices. For Forbes BLK, that entire team is a team of Black community builders and reporters and editors. So so you may not like what we're saying, but it is always authentic.
So you are co-founder of Mansa, right? Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, Mansa is a streaming platform for curated Black culture. We bring Black culture to the world.
Okay, so was there a defining moment or industry gap that pushed you to create a platform like for this, like storytelling?
How much time you got? I mean, I think it's a collective of moments. I mean, I've been in the business 22 years. Mm-hmm. And the thing that is not changed is that we don't own the pipes underneath the system that allows us to have distribution and go from bringing our content that we, go into debt for, blood, sweat, and tears over, to an audience that is looking for that piece of content. So Mansa is a streaming platform that really is about allowing for people to bring their content to an audience, global audience, that can engage, they can own own that audience, and also be able to scale that access across the globe and create generational wealth.
How do you see ReachTV using spaces like airports to boost Black-owned media in ways that traditional outlets just can't?
Well, two things. Number one is we're in a space where $3 billion a month in revenue is being generated, but the economic impact is $1.8 trillion a year. So travel and tourism is essential to our GDP and globally to the GDP. So what we're doing is leveraging that and going backwards. And what we're adding is our own first-party data we've been collecting for the last 9 years. We've now stood up that platform. So we have 500 million devices, 120 million homes, 252 million people. And then what we've done is tag 20 million locations so that we can watch the journey of everyone. Now, combine that, we can now take people's digital and publishers who are smaller publishers, but we can bring in the match that with our data, because those publishers have what I love is a smaller audience, but a very, very committed audience. So how do you talk to that person on their entire journey? We're helping publishers unlock that with our data.
And I saw online that the founder, Angie Nwandu, is that the name? Angie, she basically started the Shade Room by making a seat for herself at the table because there was no seat for her, right? So what do you say to Black creators or Black founders who are just trying to start out? What's some advice that you can give them?
Well, read Angie Nwandu's story, because not only is she an inspiration, she has fought through incredible barriers of entry, trials and personal tribulations, but she has persevered throughout, and her voice and her belief in her voice and her belief in the voice of our people is what has survived.
What industry trends are you currently paying the most attention to, and why?
I mean, right now I'm watching who's backing out of DEI and what those commitments they're backing out of. The one thing that I continue to just press is, like, in order to be informed, we must follow the data. So I'm checking to see, we're going to start seeing new EEO1 reports released. I'm going to see if people are starting to hold that data back. That is something that we'll have to deal with. But, I think mainly it's how do we get the data, how do we contextualize the data, and what shifts are happening with corporate reporting.
And I believe one of your fellow panelists was talking about how, you know, the people in the room matter that make up that number. So if it's only 5 people in the room and one of those people are Black, then that's 20%. But is it really 20%?
Well, I think for me, you have to look at the full picture. So, you know, we talk about Black representation. If a workforce, we make up 13.7% of the population. There's also data around, I'm blanking on the number, but, you know, each industry has a total pool of possible, you know, people that could work in there. So making sure we have representation at a broad level, making sure that we have representation at the middle management level, and not just these entry level positions or service focused positions, frontline. But I think when we're talking about leadership, if you have 5 slots on your C-suite team, your CEO, your CMO, your CFO, your COO, I think it's really important to have at least one of those voices. But, you know, when you layer it on with other representation across the company and not just in that one seat, having people on the board, I think it just forms a fuller picture of who's making the decisions.
Absolutely. It's important to have some diversity and not everyone looking the same. And what I'm taking from this conversation is women lie, men lie, but numbers don't.
Absolutely.
Well, first and foremost is AI. AI is a very, very big component, and I don't want to kind of be like other businesses where they didn't jump on the internet or the social media trend and things like that. I want to figure out how to best use AI as it pertains to scaling my business. So that's one. And then I'm also looking at the trends. I'm very interested in seeing how more of like the psychology of like the human behavior in this digital world, and trying to figure out how people are navigating, how they're purchasing, how they are viewing the brands against each other. So more from a competitive knowledge.
He's trying to get ahead, y'all. He's trying to get ahead. Can you share what's next for you at Mathis Productions?
We're working on some AI stuff, as I said, and we have a few things in development, and we're going to be looking toward other platforms too, and have a few things in development.
Okay.
Can't let you steal my ideas.
I would never. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Yeah. So you just launched your new movie, To Live and Die and Live.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, it's a movie about a guy who comes home the week his stepfather dies and is thrust into settling his old accounts and essentially picking up almost too many responsibilities that he's really prepared for before he deals with his grief and addiction and other issues that he is struggling with.
Tell me about a couple of people who are featured in that film. I know you have some big names. I heard Omari Hardwick.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Yeah, so I saw a post the other day on one of our IG posts or whatever saying, oh, you got Eamon Joseph from Snowfall. You got the Snowfall guy. You got Power. You got the guy from Power, and you got the guy from The Shy with Corey Hardwick in one movie. Like, how did you? He was like, what kind of magic poster did you pull off to do that? But yeah, we got them all in the movie together. And there's Sky P. Marshall's in the movie. She's doing her thing on Matlock right now. Danny Gourier, Mariam Basir. It's a pretty cool cast. And the ensemble is one of the biggest things people talk about with seeing the movie, because they go hard. So
that is amazing.